Yeah, I mean, we never assume that everybody has played either Spider-Man or Miles Morales or both. We always try to make sure that, well, obviously we have some story elements that, we'll have a recap video to let people know what's happened in the previous games. But in terms of being able to play the game, learn the mechanics, whether it's swinging or combat or everything in between, we will train players any way possible to make sure that they can feel like Spider-Man as fast as possible. Sure, yeah. So in both Spider-Man 1 and Miles Morales, we kept the kind of the gameplay to the main Manhattan island. In this game, we're pretty much doubling the size of the city with the addition of Queens and Brooklyn, which not only gives us some great new just like visual areas like the neighborhood of Queens, or like seeing Brooklyn Vision's Academy where Miles goes to school, Coney Island, but just has a nice sense, a new visual feel, and then obviously from a story standpoint allows us to explore new areas for missions and other content. Yeah, I mean, I think it's always a challenge. I mean, every game's a challenge, right? And especially, making Spider-Man is, the expectations are high. And I think for us, it was about just delivering more on that fantasy of, people want to see, Peter's is from Queens. People want to see, what was it like there? And I feel like you look at when you swing around there, you can see it has definitely more of a neighborhood feel. Same thing. Miles is still in high school, and we want to show Brooklyn Vision's Academy, and we even have quest lines where students from Brooklyn Visions are asking for the spider heroes to help them. So I think it was just, it's about just taking advantage of that, and whether it's look at the city, the combat, the traversal, the story, the open world discoverability, our set pieces, just making sure pushing everything as much as we can. Yeah, so I think it's definitely, we were really intrigued, obviously, to have both Peter and Miles in the game, both as, spider heroes, that was felt like it was a big draw for us, and really got us excited about making the game, and obviously, if you play the main story, there's missions that you play as Peter, there's missions you play as Miles, there's missions where you play as both, and you're switching back and forth like you saw in the preview today, and we want to deliver, in many ways, a story in a world where it asks the question, like, why do you need two Spider-Men? And I think that the stakes and the scale of this game, and not only the story of the city, but what's going on with Pete and Miles, you'll understand why. And I think at the same time it was really important that they each have their own individual journey they're going on. And, in some ways they're there to support each other, and you see what their lives are, both in the mask and with it out. So I think, it's really, really important to deliver that. And then in terms of the mechanics, the open world, if you're going to deliver on the main story, the ability, you're going to play as Miles, sometimes play as Peter, and we want to fulfill that in the open world as well. So give you more freedom to explore the world with the character you want, customize the character you want to play as, their skill set. We have, not only do we have visual customization for each character to really express who they want to be, but in terms of their skills, we have skill trees for both the characters. We have a shared skill tree. We have different stats that you can upgrade for each character. So it's really about just delivering that sense of feel. And then obviously with the PlayStation 5, we can do things like hero switching a lot faster. We can do fast travel a lot faster. So it's just kind of about really fulfilling the fantasy of being two spider heroes, and then leveraging everything that the PlayStation 5 allows us to do to make it feel as fast and fluid as possible. We knew really early, because the way that Spider-Man 1 ended with the fact that we showed Miles getting his powers, and we knew we were going to do a game with Miles, like a solo game with Miles. So we kind of knew we were headed in that direction. I think what was really great was that the success and the reaction to the Miles Morales game just made us more confident that the direction we were headed, of featuring both Peter and Miles in one game, was the right direction. So yes, it's super challenging. I mean, juggling two main heroes and their own stories and how they intersect, intertwine, it's really complicated, and I really give a lot of credit to the team. Yeah. A lot of coordination, whether it's our writers, our animators, our designers, and making sure not only do we represent them right on the main story path, but do we create content that takes advantage of their unique abilities in the open world as well. So yeah, it's a big challenge, but I think once we kind of got the game, we work on various content throughout the years, and then we get to a point where the game is really playable from beginning to end. And it may not be the most polished experience, but you can kind of get a feel. And once we got to that point where, you're playing through the main story and taking a break, and then you're switching between characters, and then you're realizing hey, so there's content for Peter in the open world, there's content for Miles, but then there's a bucket of content where you can play as either character, and you're like, wow, you see that hunter blind? Okay, I want to stealth that. I want to use stealth. So I'm going to use the web line. No, wait, Miles has cloaking. I can have an advantage. Or maybe I have a symbiote and there's this, maybe the hunter base where I really wanted to go in there and, use the symbiote to the best of my abilities and really kind of, show that off. I think you start to find a character that you want to gravitate toward it. So it's been tough. But I think the finished, what we were able to achieve, I'm really proud of in terms of that sense of fulfilling that fantasy of being both, but also giving the player the freedom, the flexibility to play the game how they want to play it. Yeah, I mean, I think if you played our previous games, I think you know that we are fans of the comics, the films, and I think you're gonna, if you saw what we did in previous games, you can probably kind of guess where we might be headed with some Easter eggs in the next game. We are making it for them because we are them. We are fans of the franchise. We are fans of Spider-Man. So, I think we understand that the expectations are really high, and our hope is always that they love playing as much as we did making it. And I think, we tried to concentrate on things that we know they loved. We know they've reacted well to our stories and traversal and combat, and we wanted to look at opportunities that we thought we could improve. We wanted to push our boss fights to not only feel bigger and more epic, and you're gonna see that from beginning to end, but we also wanted to add a level of challenge and mastery that when you go from phase 1 to phase 2 of a boss fight like the lizard, you're gonna have things unexpected to happen that you're gonna have to learn and master. And I think another big thing for us was really about taking the open world to another level, have more visual cues in the world that draw your attention, not just relying on UI, having content that you find, you go out there and you find, you explore, and when you engage in that content, having better stories, having more rich experiences that things unfold over time, whether it's something as small as maybe a photo, but as big as maybe a multi-chain quest arc. So I think it's about, adding upon things that players liked and finding for opportunities that we can improve with from our previous titles.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
I like it a lot.
Oh, good. All right, that's the most important thing. All right. I was going to ask you.
Fans will be glad.
I hope so. We understand there's a lot of something like Spider-Man, and there's a lot of expectations, and being PlayStation title, the expectations go up because every studio keeps making all these great games, and I'm like, oh my God, we got to make another one. So I'm really excited.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming. I appreciate it.